Hello and welcome back, everyone, to the Hold for Hold Pro Wrestling channel, baby. We are back here today with a lackluster Raw review. Not the review itself. The review itself is not lackluster. This is going to be a banger review, as I always give. But Raw was pretty lackluster last night. I was going to record this video yesterday, immediately following Raw, but I soon found out how hard it is to motivate yourself to talk about Monday Night Raw after 3 hours of it. So instead, we're here today, just the day after. What does it matter, you know? What else do you have going on? No, just kidding, guys. But anyways, before we get to this banger review of Monday Night Raw, I just want to say, please support the channel, subscribe, follow, like the channel, like this video. You know, whatever you need to do to say, hey man, keep doing this, because I will keep doing this if y'all like it. But without any further ado, let's talk about overall. I know I already said overall Raw was lackluster, and there's a couple reasons why Raw was kind of tonight, or last night I mean. But the main reason for me is there wasn't a big through line other than the draft, and the draft kind of felt like an afterthought in this episode. It definitely did not have the same shine it did on SmackDown, and it seems like they kind of dropped the ball on a couple of the storylines already just from SmackDown. So, and the biggest one being the Bloodline. The Bloodline storyline that they set up on Friday, where Heyman was supposed to get the Usos drafted to SmackDown or else he was going to be left for dead. That pretty much got just no shine. I mean, it's embarrassing, but yeah, like, I don't know. Normally, especially lately, the last few weeks, the Roman Reigns bloodline storyline has been really interwoven into the story of Raw and SmackDown, which I enjoyed, and I was expecting it here, but we got nothing. But we did get something, but we'll talk about that when we get to it, because we started off last night with the SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. She dropped a promo, ladies and gentlemen. The man was back on Monday Night Raw. She said that it's been a year since she left, and it feels so good to be back. And at first I'm like, okay, she's just happy to be back in general, I guess. But no, she says she's going to make a lot of executives mad because she's going to spoil some of the results. But she announces that she is the first pick for Monday Night Raw in the draft. So essentially saying that she is going to be on Monday Night Raw, and commentary immediately are like, I don't know if that's official, guys. I don't know if that's right. Which then puts some doubt in my mind as to, is it's not right? What does that mean? What do you mean you don't know? Well, how does she know if you don't know? A little bit weird. Anyways, she says she never lost the Raw Women's title, and that she knows she's better than Charlotte, and maybe it's time to bring back Becky 2 belts. This brings out Charlotte. Charlotte reminds her that before Becky was Becky 2 belts, she was Becky pre-show. Claims she made Becky famous and that she will always look up to her for that. She says they have unfinished business, obviously. This brings out Bianca Belair, which Bianca Belair, as we all know, has been drafted to Raw following SmackDown. So she calls them both out for taking cheap shots at her during and after her match with Sasha last week. She says that neither of y'all are the EST, and she goes here now. She says that Becky better collect Charlotte because she doesn't know who she's talking to. And Charlotte says that Bianca should be thanking her for paving the way, which is a similar, if not the exact same tack that Becky was spewing on commentary last week, saying, you know, Becky opened the door for Bianca to achieve everything she has. Charlotte essentially copied and pasted that, and, you know, took credit instead of Becky. This gets Becky to instigate a little bit of fighting between Bianca and Charlotte, and right as Bianca takes out her hoops, looking to really start up a brawl, Pierce and Sonya Deville come out, and they see this advantage. They're like, you know what, this needs to be the main event, because one thing, okay, I don't know. So they make this the main event. Let's finish this up. They make this the main event of the show. Charlotte versus Bianca Belair, saying it's the first time it's ever happened. That's a lie. It happened on NXT, but why not acknowledge that? They're in the draft. Like, you have to acknowledge the lineage. I don't get it. But And this might be a tangent. This might be a small quibble, but I really hate when Pierce and Sonya just go, "That's the main event now." Like, not even now. They just say, "That's the main event. This is gonna be the main event." Like, girl, you haven't figured that out before you started the show. Like, how you not know what your main event is? This is 3 hours long. You have not planned any of this. Like, in theory, y'all should know what's gonna main event the show. What if this didn't happen? What if this didn't happen? What were you gonna do? At the least, just say we are moving what we had planned for the main event. You guys will be main eventing now. Like, at least acknowledge that you had a plan to begin with, but they won't. They'll never acknowledge it. It's so weird. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let me know what you guys think. I really hate that little trope in WWE storytelling. Anyways, though, we had the WWE draft night 2 first round picks. They called it first round picks, but technically there's like 6 round picks. But anyways, Becky Lynch confirmed going to Raw. So it is confirmed Becky Lynch will be on Raw, which I guess we're going to talk about at the end of the show. I don't want to spoil too much because I will be doing a full draft picks episode following this one here on Twitch. If you're watching live, right after this, we're going to be going live talking about all the draft picks and what they could potentially mean. So this one's going to be a big topic of discussion in that video, so definitely check that out. But anyways, Becky Lynch confirmed for Monday Night Raw. The Usos are confirmed for SmackDown. Bobby Lashley to Raw, and Sasha Banks stays on SmackDown. So like I said right here, huge missed opportunity if you ask me. This is where at the least, you could have just not had the Usos set. You know what I mean? Just ignore the Usos. Just give out one of these next round picks, like Rollins to Raw, like right there. That would have been good. Have the Usos not be brought up, and then you're building just a little bit of tension, at least just a little bit of tension between, are the Usos gonna have to lay out Paul Heyman? Did Paul Heyman get this done? Did he get them drafted to SmackDown? Like, this could have been planting of that seed, continuing over from SmackDown onto now, and then, whatever, like even just next round announcing the Usos and just giving us like a short bit where Heyman's really like begging Pierce and Sonya, whatever. It's just like, there's nothing. It was just thrown away, essentially. Just Usos to SmackDown, and then they cut to like Heyman looking really relieved and the Usos, whatever. It just didn't do it for me. I was expecting more. At the least, I wanted this to be somewhat dramatic. I mean, the setup was there. It was alley-ooped, and they just flopped it. Like, so whatever. Anyways, that's my grief about that. Following that, we have a Damien Priest versus Jeff Hardy match for the United States Championship. So this is one of the couple rematches of the night. Overall, this match was fine. It wasn't as good as their first match that they had because this one was a little bit shorter, but it's all right, I guess. And it didn't make much sense since Jeff is going to SmackDown, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. So typical back and forth from these two. We get a big boot to the outside early on from Priest to Hardy. Priest looks to chokeslam Hardy onto the apron, but Hardy avoids that, and then he looks for a dive of his own off the apron. Oh, but he just eats a whole lot of nothing. I gasped. He ate nothing. Face first into like the barricade area, like the bellkeeper area. Oh, it looked like a rough landing. Priest then nails him with a nice senton from the stairs, and we go to commercial. We come back. Hardy immediately hits him with a nice whisper in the wind. Priest comes back with a windmill kick, a reckoning, and then we get a nice sequence here. There's a reckoning attempt, that gets reversed. There's a twist of fate attempt, that gets reversed. We get the bell clap from Damien Priest, and then that heads into the finish as Hardy actually does hit the twist of fate, then the swanton bomb. He gets 2, but then Priest rolls onto his side, kind of like a crucifix roll-up pin, and gets 3 for that. So he retains his championship against Jeff Hardy in a pretty good effort, and it looked like, Priest was about to lose here. I thought it was a good finish there. It kept everyone looking strong, especially Hardy. That made Hardy really... Because, like, lately, I mean, he's had some good matches, the triple threat, and the match before with Priest is just, like, this really helped him out in, like, okay, Hardy is a real threat, not just a legacy act, But following that, we have a Jeff Hardy in-ring interview. He says that it feels like he's crashed down from the highest of highs and into the lowest of lows, and he alludes that we might see a new ego on SmackDown. Willow. This is Willow. Probably Willow. I mean, it's not going to be Nero, so it has to be Willow. Which I really didn't watch TNA back in the day for the Willow character, so I'm looking forward to this. I know a lot of people love Willow and Jeff Hardy's take on stuff, so I think it'll be fun. I'm not the hugest Jeff Hardy fan. I was when I was younger. Nowadays, it's just like I haven't really, but he's putting on good matches. Anyways, he alludes to that. This brings out Austin Theory. He interrupts, says that this is a dream come true to be on Monday Night Raw. You were already on Raw before. To be there, standing in the ring with Jeff Hardy, one of his heroes. He asks for a selfie. They take a nice little selfie there. He looks at the picture and then he attacks Jeff Hardy. Beats him down. Beats down Hardy. Gives him a big move. I don't even know what he gave him. I know he gave him a nice lariat though. Then after the beatdown's done, he goes down on the floor with Hardy, laying out lifeless. Takes a little selfie, a little bit of selfie, and then boom, heel turn confirmed for Austin Theory. I like this. I like this because it introduces him as a legitimate threat. He just took out, former world champion Jeff Hardy, and I'm not necessarily big on the selfie thing. Hopefully, this was a one and done thing. Because I don't want to see him do like a Tyler Breeze ripoff. But Austin Theory on the main roster is fine with me. He's going to put on some great matches. He's probably going to face Jeff Hardy next week. So hopefully he gets that win. Hopefully they do not carry and cross him because he deserves a good main roster run. But following that, we have Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. I believe there's an interview. And Riddle just immediately starts rambling on, takes the mic from the interviewer. But he does say that he is looking to get revenge on AJ and Amaz. Randy is kind of annoyed with Riddle by the end of his little spiel. He's like, "Are you done?" "No, are you done?" Randy then looks directly at the camera and he says he has a proposition for us. He challenges Omos to a match tonight. And that was the biggest through line of the night, was like waiting for Omos to respond to this challenge, which was not dramatic in the slightest. So I think that was the biggest letdown, is like, this is the through line, this little bit. Because throughout the night they'd say, we're still waiting to hear if Omos will accept Randy's challenge. Like, I don't really care about this. Give me a bloodline through line, please. Anyways, though, we get the WWE draft second round picks of the night. Seth Rollins confirmed for Monday Night Raw. Nakamura and Boogs are staying on SmackDown. Damien Priest staying on Raw. And Sheamus is heading to SmackDown. I predicted this, and plenty of people did as well, but I think this is going to be great. I really hope, I don't want to spoil too much for this next video, but I really hope they do something with Sheamus, and I have an idea for what they should do. So make sure you check out that video to hear it. But anyways, yeah, so fine enough picks. Rollins to Raw brings, Rollins to Raw brings together Edge and himself, so that's going to continue on, which I think people are excited for this. And we'll talk about later some more potential matches for Seth Rollins. So following that, we have Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. Not much of a match here, as you can expect. Shayna Baszler makes Dana Brooke tap out, and then she starts to attack her after the match, doing the whole arm thing. And the one she did on Dana Brooke, I think, looked more vicious than the ones she's done on like Eva Marie and Nia. Because Dana Brooke just had her arm like leaning against the LED board, and she just like boom, just stomps it right onto. It looked gross, like it looked legit rough. Doudrop then tries to make the save. She comes out skipping down, no sense of urgency. I can't stand it. She skips down. She's like, "Get off of her! Stop doing that." And so Shayna's like, "Okay, I'll stop doing that." And then as soon as Doudrop turns around, she clubs her on the back, and Doudrop just no-sells the club and just looks at her. And then these two women just stare off, and that's it. I thought that was disappointing. I am looking forward to whatever this is going to lead to in the next couple of weeks with Doudrop and Shayna Baszler, because I think that's going to be a fun match. Especially because Piper Niven can actually wrestle, and she hasn't really been given the chance to. And as we all know, Shayna Baszler can actually wrestle as well. So following that, we get the Usos with Paul Heyman, a little interview there. The Usos are welcome to they're welcoming they're saying they're going to continue the Uso Penitentiary on SmackDown, and Paul Heyman says he's the warden of the Uso Penitentiary, but then he gets called out about Lesnar, and the Usos just stare at him with great shame against him. Following that, we have more draft picks as the third round. We have AJ and Amaz to Raw, which a little disappointed there. Shayna Baszler SmackDown, which I am very interested in. Kevin Owens to Raw, which is whatever. I'm pretty sure he's not sticking around to finish out that contract anyway. And Xia Li to SmackDown. So one call up here in this round, and Xia Li is an interesting character. I don't know what they're gonna do with that whole like group. Are they just gonna wipe that off the planet or what? But as many wrestlers that can get off NXT 2.0, the better. Well, I shouldn't say that because we're going to talk about one wrestler that I wish would have just stayed in NXT 2.0. But for now, Xia Li to SmackDown, I think that should be a fun call. From there, we have Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza versus Mansoor and Mustafa Ali. It's a really quick match. I really wish they would have given this match more time. We get a nice forearm from Garza. He rips off his pants, nice rip off of the pants. We get a similar finish to last week with like a sneaky attack from Humberto to get the boys the win. The handsome boys, they won again. And really, all four of these people were handsome. So, I don't know. This is a tough one. All four men in this match are handsome. Corey Graves has some good commentary saying that he kind of hopes Carillo and Garza get drafted because he wants to be the most handsome man on the brand. But I'm sorry, Corey. That's just not even true. Period. I mean, that's just not true. But anyways, handsome boys, they pick up the win there. From there, we get a really good Big E promo. He comes out and he says that he's sad that the New Day are splitting again. Which, yeah, New Day are splitting again. That's really dumb. Anyways, he says that he showed the world that he is the rightful championship by defeating Lashley last week in that steel cage. But before he can even get a moment to breathe, he found his next challenger, and that brings out Drew McIntyre. He actually calls out Drew McIntyre by name. He's like, come on, Drew. Come on out here. So Drew makes his way down. He says it's a Drew day. Yes, it is. And Drew congratulates Big E. This segment went on a little bit long, but I actually liked a lot of the chemistry between these two, just talking. They seemed very genuine, very conversational. Drew was like, I know that you probably haven't gotten a text message from me or seen me post on social media about it, but that's because I'm old school. I wanted to shake your hand and tell you that I'm proud of you in person, which I really enjoyed. From there, the Dirty Dogs interrupt, and I kind of popped. I know that Dirty Dogs are a lot of nothing. The crowd was wetting them the entire time they were going down to the ramp. But I like the Dirty Dogs, man. I love Bobby Roode. I always give Bobby Roode a chance. So Dolph, being the mouthpiece that he is, he says that Big E owes his entire career to him and calls out Drew too. He says, Drew, you showed up as my partner after your inspirational story, and Big E, you were my bodyguard. Don't forget none of this. I started y'all's career, and all he wants is to thank you. Yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed him doing that. They rolled footage back of like Big E in his debut and McIntyre, just to remind people. I really enjoyed that because I actually wasn't watching when Big E made his debut. And so like I knew he was paired with Dolph, and obviously I've watched like Dolph's cash in since then. But yeah, it was just good to see. Although they did not show AJ Lee, and I know a lot of people got upset about that. But yeah, all he wants is a thank you from them. And then they obviously won't give him a thank you. Bobby Roode starts talking, and Bobby Roode is just comedic humor at this point. He's like, people call him Big Bob, and Biggie's like, no one calls you that. Not a single person calls you Big Bob. And Dolph explodes. He's like, don't you talk to Big Bob like that. And so Big E and Drew McIntyre is like, well, they call me Big D. And so it's Big E and Big D. They challenged them to a tag team match. Of course they're going to have a tag team match. If all four of these people are in the ring, what do you think is going to happen? So we go to commercial, we come back. It's Drew McIntyre, a.k.a. Big D, with Big E against the Dirty Dogs in a standard tag team matchup. Corey Graves calls Bobby Roode Big Bob the whole night, which so did I. I'm pretty sure I wrote that for the entirety of these bits. So Big D and Big E are just whooping them to start. Just absolutely one-upmanship between themselves, showing them like, look, I just threw him across the ring. Oh yeah, tag. I throw him across the ring. So we can't kind of like that for a little while, but Big E does eventually get caught up. Big Bob looks for a middle rope knee, lands straight on his knee. It looked kind of rough. This gets Big D into the match. Bro, if this is confusing, I'm really sorry. But I thought it was really funny to write everything as Big D and Big Bob. So I really hope this isn't too hard to keep up with. But Big D, he gets in the match. He throws some overhead belly to bellies to both of the dogs. Big D then nails the ring post with his shoulder, so he's on the outside. Dolph Ziggler hits a super kick onto Drew. So from there, the Dirty Dogs remain control. We go to commercial, we come back. We had a hot tag to Big E. And then he starts letting the belly to bellies rain in, and then we get a big splash for 2. Drew breaks up a pin attempt after Dolph hit a sneaky zigzag. He catches Drew catches Big Bob on the outside for another belly to belly. And then Ziggler gets nailed with a lariat, and Big E looks for the big ending, but Drew does the blind tag. He tags himself in, so Big E's just like, okay. And he just kind of drops Dolph off his shoulder. We get a Claymore to Ziggler for the win. Post-match, they're kind of celebrating. And Big Bob runs back into the ring to look to attack, and Big E saves Drew from an attack. He's kind of like, just move out the way. Catches him up, hits him big ending. And from there, Big E goes on to accept Drew McIntyre's challenge at Crown Jewel. And this was a little bit of a dumb detail that I caught, but when Big E threw his WWE title on his shoulder, you can hear like a big boom, kind of like if I would have smacked my mic. And so I'm pretty sure, one, they didn't have microphones when you accepted the challenge, so I'm pretty sure the belt had like a mic attached to it, and so that way everyone can hear him say, I accept your challenge at Crown Jewel via belt mic. So, stupid detail, didn't need to talk about it, but I thought it was funny in the moment. So, gotta find ways to entertain yourself, folks. Anyways, from here we get the 24/7 division doing a whole mess. Same old. Reggie avoids everything. Towards the end, though, we do see Apollo Crews in this frame. He comes up and he says hi to Reggie. He's like, hi. And Reggie's like, bro, I'm busy right now. Can't you see everyone's trying to catch me with nets? And so Reggie just runs off. Apollo Crews laughs. I really hope this is the only time we see Apollo Crews anywhere near that 24/7 title. But yeah, Apollo Crews is on Raw, ladies and gentlemen. From there, we get a Kevin Owens promo. He comes out into the ring. Before he can even say anything, he's interrupted by Akira Tozawa. Akira Tozawa says, congrats for being on Raw, but right now, I'm not looking for a fight with you. I want Reggie right here, right now, in the ring for that 24/7 title. He turns his back to Owens. Owens is like, I gotta stun this dude. So he gives him a stunner, and that's it. Doesn't say a word. Really just buying out his time. I really hope they give him something meaty. I think they're kind of giving up on Kevin Owens because they just realized that he's going to go to AEW once his contract's out. So they might just not do anything with him, which would be a shame. You have Kevin Owens on your roster. Like, try to convince him to stay. Anyways, though, we have round 4 of the draft for the night. Street Profits are confirmed going to Raw. I know a lot of people had predicted that they would be broken up in the draft. I, for one, said they shouldn't be. I do think, though, Montez should be able to pursue a singles career. And, in that United States Championship division, I think he has a lot of potential, guys. But anyways, they are drafted to the Raw. Viking Raiders are drafted to SmackDown. So it seems like an even trade there. I'm excited for the Viking Raiders to go to SmackDown because I think them versus the Usos would be a really fun matchup. But it's more likely they're just going to lose to the Alpha Academy. But anyways, this is probably the pick of the night for me. I mean, in conjunction with the Seth Rollins pick. Finn Balor to Raw. This is going to be good. Because there was reports yesterday before Raw went on the air. And I don't normally do like spoilery news, so I didn't want to touch on it. But that people at Raw were really rooting for Finn Balor to replace Drew McIntyre on Raw, kind of fill that same role, which if he does, that'd be fantastic. And I mean, we all, of course, think he's very capable of doing that, and he's just as handsome as Drew McIntyre. So, just saying. And also Ricochet to SmackDown, which I wanted to happen. I hope it really gives him a refresh, and he can go after like the IC title. So, yeah, the potential there for some good stuff. From there, we get the Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash versus the Brutalizers, Tamina and Natalya. rematch for the women's championships, which absolutely mean nothing at this point. But anyways, the same exact match that they ran back the last time. They did that callback to where Natalya's trying to sink in the sharpshooter, and Nikki gets a roll up, but that only gets two. Get a hot tag from Rhea. She hits like a ripcord headbutt. Nikki hits a huge crossbody onto the outside, and the finish sees Rhea hit a riptide, and then she tags in Nikki, gets her up on her shoulders for like an electric chair splash onto Tamina for the win. Yeah, just a nothing match. That doesn't matter because, there's no tags. I mean, I don't get it. Whatever. I mean, you have to have the rematch, but I mean, we're going to talk about that because, boy, did they scrap this division. Anyways, round 5 of the draft. Carrying across to Raw, which doesn't mean anything. For his achievements, they have that he's an NXT champion, but they also have Fallen Prey on there, and they have signature move, the cross jacket, which means nothing if you don't know what that is. Anyways, Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, handsome boys, they're going to SmackDown. I think they're going to do great on SmackDown. They're showing a lot of character, and if they keep letting them develop, it's going to be really good stuff. Alexa Bliss to Raw, which doesn't really matter because I think she's out of action for a little while. And SmackDown still retains Cesaro. So that's going to be fun. That means Sheamus and Cesaro on the same brand. Could that mean anything? Probably not. It's WWE. Anyways, this was probably the most head-scratching moment of the night. I didn't talk about Raw last week, so y'all don't really have my opinion on the Goldberg Bobby Lashley angle. I will just say this. Bobby Lashley's story of I didn't know that was your son. Someone just climbed on my back and I just responded how I would if a fan climbed on my back is very reasonable. That's very reasonable. How many times have we seen wrestlers beat the crap out of fans who've gotten in the ring? You know? Remember when Eddie and RVD were having that ladder match and that fan tipped down the ladder and Eddie just starts immediately gonna go for this fan? That's just how it works. You don't get in the ring. So if anything, his son is wrong because he was a paying fan. He did not come down the ramp. He was not authorized. So there's my baseline for this. The other details of this is just why. So anyways, Goldberg comes out. He says that he doesn't buy this whole misunderstanding story because of course he doesn't. He says he's going to intentionally break Bobby's neck at Crown Jewel. And this brings out Bobby. Bobby's like, bro, I'm for real. I did not know that was your son. I did not know who that was. I just did what I was going to do. But he says, you want to be so bad, whatever. Here's a no-hold-barred match. So this is going to be a no DQ match at Crown Royal. Goldberg says thank you because it gives him a license to kill Bobby Lashley. I guess they said this last week too, that Goldberg wanting to murder Bobby Lashley is a part of the story. I don't know if this is part of the we need to have more edgy content. No. This is bordering on just weird. This is so weird. I'm gonna murder you. That's not good. It's not clever. It's just not good. It doesn't sell the match for me at all. I don't know what this match is going to be. Goldberg can't wrestle anymore. No offense. I think Goldberg was a star back in the day, but, you cannot wrestle anymore. I don't know. I don't get it. Anyways, though, Bobby Lashley then sends the Hurt Business onto Bobby. They kind of do a sneak attack from behind, kind of illustrating how easy it is to not know whatever. Goldberg dispatches both members of the Hurt Business with ease, which, the worst. I want the Hurt Business to be legitimate threats, and they're not. And then they're even more buried, here in a minute, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. So that ends the segment. So yeah, the Goldberg, Bobby Lashley stuff, terrible. And I'm so sad that Bobby Lashley has to be put in this position because I really want him anywhere else. I want him anywhere else, dude. Him and Damien Priest could have a banger match. I don't need Goldberg on my TV. I really don't. I don't know. It's a weird obsession. But anyways, guys. we have Seth Rollins doing a backstage interview talking about being on Raw. He says, "Guess who's back, baby? Sethy's back. Oh yay, Sethy." It's weird. He gets asked about. Well, he was about to get asked about Edge. It was kind of obvious, and he goes, "I'm gonna take care of Edge on SmackDown. Do not ask me about him." And that's about it. So clearly, Edge and Rollins are going to continue this thing. I know a lot of people are disappointed that we're probably not going to get Rollins and Roman, but I don't think that's the case. I think that Roman's probably going to be champion for another year. So you have another year to build up to that story. I think it will happen eventually. Anyways, following that, we have the New Day versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin post them getting beat down by Goldberg. So kind of a nothing match here. We get a really fast start though. A lot of back and forth. Good wrestling, as I like to see. Woods gets the hot tag. Shelton gets hit with a cave-in off the steps from Kofi. Woods then hits that top rope elbow that he does, like springboard. He hit it all the way across the ring. On to Cedric for the win. Immediately following the win, he starts like going towards one of the cameramen. He's like, "Crown me, crown me, crown me, hail me, King Woods, King Woods." Really enjoy that. I really am rooting for him to win the King of the Ring tournament. But following their win, the Street Profits come out. And they just have like the typical babyface segment with the New Day. They give him a solo cup to drink, which he shouldn't be sharing drinks in COVID, but it's okay. I trust them. So yeah, just typical babyface, just introducing them to the Raw crowd again. It was kind of nothing. It was kind of almost like a send-off, I guess, unless they're not... I mean, they might have something next week, and they might have something on SmackDown, because technically the draft doesn't take into effect until after Crown Jewel, so I don't know. Nice enough. A little exchange. Following that, RK Bro faced off with AJ and Amaz. This was really nothing. This was absolutely nothing, and I'm not even going to go through the whole promo bits because I thought it was way too long and it accomplished nothing. Basically, Randy Orton RKO's Omos ahead of their match, I guess, Crown Jewel. A lot of nothing here. They never had the match. Omos never accepted it. And that was the through line of the show. This went on from hour 1 to hour 3, and it was the second to last segment, and it was basically nothing. So I think that was where my biggest frustration with Raw was the through line they decided on, and then I just did nothing. No drama in that. Anyways, to the main event, we have Bianca Belair versus Charlotte Flair. Becky Lynch on commentary, of course. This match, I really hate to say this, but this match wasn't it for me. One, I thought that Becky on commentary covered way too much of the same ground that she did on SmackDown, so it was a little distracting. At times I wanted to just mute it because I didn't need the information she was saying. But the match itself was fine. You know, it's Bianca Belair and it's Charlotte Flair. Those are two world-renowned athletes that you got in the ring. So we got a lot of like good shows of strength between both of these women. This brings Becky to say like she doesn't need flash. She's smarter than everyone. She doesn't need to be stronger and more flippy than everyone. Charlotte gains control though with a reverse DDT on the apron. We come back from commercial. Bianca nails a stalling suplex, which looks really nice. She looks for that handspring moonsault that she does, but eats Charlotte's knees instead. Charlotte then deadlifts Bianca out of a pinning predicament. So she deadlifts her onto her shoulder and hit like a back suplex. It was really nice move there. Bianca avoids a natural selection by, get this, just staying still. Just didn't go with it. She just kind of like, okay, let her flip, essentially. Charlotte avoids the KOD, so she kind of gets out of that. And then she hits a huge spear for 2. The spear selling was nice from Bianca. Bianca takes too long to get to the top rope, so she gets caught up and eats a big boot. We get a moonsault. We get the double moonsaults from Charlotte, like Andrade does. Bianca then reverses out of figure 4 into a roll-up. She then nails the KOD. 1, 2, and then Becky attacks. Doesn't let her get the win. So this match ends in a disqualification, which I think you could have figured out when this match was announced that was going to end in a disqualification. Which, I know a lot of people don't like this trope of like, whatever, TV matches ending that way, but when you give us that good of a match in the lead up, I just wish the commentary was better. But if you give us that good of a match and then you end it with a DQ, I'm kind of fine with it. I just wish the commentary was just a little bit more unique. and didn't hit over the same points it did on Friday. But anyways, Becky attacks Bianca from here. She hits a Beck splitter into the barricade and then pulls her into the ring, gets a manhandle slam in the ring, which Becky called it herself a rock bottom. So I like that in her head it's still a rock bottom and not a manhandle slam. But as she's about to celebrate, Sasha Banks attacks Becky from behind, and she looked very happy to do so. She hits her with a backstabber, and that's how we close out the show. So yeah, this is one of the things I'm going to cover more in detail on the draft video itself, but I guess I can talk about it a little bit here. The whole women's division is kind of a mess, and they have no way, or they haven't pulled out anything to say like this is going to be fine, there's going to be some kind of result to this, because right now you have the Raw Women's Champion drafted to SmackDown, Charlotte. You have the SmackDown Women's Champion drafted to Raw, Becky. You have a triple threat match at Crown Jewel between Becky, Bianca, and Sasha, which Sasha is now the only SmackDown superstar in that SmackDown Women's Championship match. And I saw a lot of people were like, well, obviously Sasha's going to win this match. I don't think it's that obvious, first of all. I really don't think it's that predictable. Second of all, that wouldn't fix the problem, because now you have Charlotte and Sasha both having women's championships on SmackDown. So the problem would actually be worse if Sasha won it. At least with this, both brands have a women's champion. It just might not, say Raw Women's Champion. So what I'm getting at here is they need to establish some kind of, because no one is talking about this. No commentators, no one is saying like, it's weird that the Raw Women's Champion is on SmackDown. And it's weird that Becky's on Raw now. What are we going to do about these titles, And I really hope it isn't just the lazy, here you go, take my title, I'm going to take yours. Like, that's boring. Give us something. Give us drama. I know that Becky's alluding to the 2 belts again, but they aren't really setting that up yet. I don't know. Maybe after Crown Jewel, they're like, okay, guys, draft's under effect. We do need to figure out what we're doing with these women's championships. So maybe we just have to wait till then. But for now, at least build something, put some tension in there. Like, this is not right. These championships are not supposed to be on this brand. They just kind of did it, and then it's like, okay, she's on Raw. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I really don't think I am. I just don't like this storytelling of she's on Raw, so boom, we're gonna deal with it. But anyways, guys, overall, I felt Raw was a solid 2 out of 5. I mean, this was not easy to get through in the full 3-hour sitting. I should have just broke it up, but I wanted to be live tweeting the show, which you can follow us on Twitter at Hold for Hold. I usually live tweet all the shows that I review, because this is the draft. It's kind of important. It's gonna set up the next year of story, so I wanted to talk about it in the moment. So yeah, without the draft, I probably wouldn't have watched this in one sitting. It was pretty tough. It felt like 3 hours, so I'm giving it a solid 2, just because the main event was good, and I like the Big E Dirty Dog stuff. That was really a saving grace here. Spot of the night, I don't really have that big of a spot of the night. I guess it would have to be Jeff Hardy just eating nothing on the ground after that splash. That looked rough. So I guess that's my spot of the night for you guys. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure I missed a round of... Yeah, I totally missed a round of the WWE draft that I was supposed to cover here, but the biggest guy out of that round 6 was Gable Steveson, the Olympic gold medalist. He is drafted to Raw. That's in my thumbnail, and I forgot. So, my bad, you guys. I talked about it, though. It's here. But get my more thoughts on that in the next video, which if you're on Twitch, just stick around. We're going to record a video immediately following this. But yeah, that was the end of the draft for now. Possibly forever. Who knows? It was an okay draft. It wasn't the best episode of Raw, though. But without any further ado, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Stay tuned if you're in the Twitch. We're going to be rolling right on. But yeah, see you guys later. Goodbye.